I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone here. I'd asked Mayor Dawson, I think they have a new member of staff. I wonder if I want to introduce you.
Yeah, I'm going to let CAO do that.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the opportunity. David Kester has been recently hired last week as our Public Works Manager. So we welcome David. He lives in Zurich, so he's local. And as you're well aware, he has some big shoes to fill, and I'm sure he is going to be able to do that. So we look forward to having him on staff.
All right, thanks for that.
They are size 16 too.
Approval of the agenda. Any questions or Dave and Jim? Approve the agenda as it's there. All in favor of that? Carried. I'd ask if anyone has a pecuniary interest, if they would disclose it either now or at the time it comes up. And the minutes, 4.1 from the July 27th meeting of the sewer board. Moved by Tom, seconded by Bill. Any questions on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of that? Carried. New business, I guess, is the letter from the municipality of Blue Water, 5.1. Anyone want to speak to this? No?
Well, I'll speak a little there, and again, I maybe should go to the CAO because he did manufacture the letter and he showed it to us for our approval, and I guess most of us thought it was great on. But again, it's just whether we're a partner, it leaves us still a lot of concern. I know we're not ready to put up money, but if it means infrastructure grant money will flow smoother if we stay at the table with our discussions, we have to buy in, and we know we're not getting asking for any free ride in. We will have to pay the cost of the day when we decide we're coming. But for this part of it, we still feel that somehow, with your blessing, we would like to be part of the group that we move on. So it's up to this. And again, this meeting, whether you are comfortable us sitting at the table or not, that's your call. Steve, would you like to add to it? You manufactured the letter, so explain the letter better than me.
Sure, Mr. Chair, with your permission.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the letter's self-explanatory. Well, as I said in the letter, we understand that, I think everyone understands we won't be involved in the scaled-down plant that you're proposing, but it will require an amendment to the EA that we were part of. So what we're saying is that we'd like to be involved in that EA process until it's finalized, because our understanding is it'd be a minor amendment to the back end of the EA, and wouldn't touch any of the work that's in the front end with the study area and all that type of thing. So we would just like to stay involved until that EA is finalized, and at which point we presume that some kind of plant would be built for the two municipalities.
No, I agree with what's been said.
So, I'm not, any comments from here?
I think that it was discussed at the last meeting, and it's in the minutes what we felt then, and I think it still stands that personally, I don't care if they, but they're here as observers, they really shouldn't have discussed, as I said last meeting, that they wouldn't be involved with any voting on the expansion of the sewerage system, since they're not a partner in it.
Okay, was that, I thought that had to do with the working group, more than it was to do with this committee when we go forward with the process. Yep.
I guess I look at the letter that they wrote, and down right at the bottom of the first page, as expressed in our previous letter, Blue Water has withdrawn from participating in the first phase of the project. That tells me that they've withdrawn from this project until they're ready to move ahead with it. So when you've withdrawn, says where, what am I reading? Am I reading it wrong or?
Further on that sentence, though, it says to maintain the ability to involve in future projects.
But this is not, this is today's project.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with future projects, that can be written in. But today's project is this here now.
Yes.
And it's South Huron and Lambton Shores that are spending the money on this project. Now, that's my view.
Bill?
I would just imagine, and I hear you all the way, Jim, and I like you say the same thing. So I guess the next step is what involved, if any, do we come and sit here, do we come to that and sit at the table, or do we sit in the gallery, or do we prefer we didn't show up at all? Where do you want us to be with this? Because I just hope that the infrastructure money isn't hinging on the three in there. And that means you start over fresh with that or something. We wouldn't want to be the cause of that, and that means us sitting at the table. No, I don't think we should be making any decisions on your new plan. But is there merit in us sitting at the table to get this project moving along?
Further on in the discussion here, there's talk about the scope change and the project change with Build Canada funding and making application for that. And I think that perhaps when we go through that process, it should be determining what can be and what can't be. We've all stated that we want to make sure that the funding is available. And if there's conditions tied to that, that is, the scope is for 3 municipalities, then perhaps this can just be received for today, and where do we go from here? I'm waiting for a motion. I don't know where we're going. I think there's some of these things that are dependent on what changes with the scope change, the request of the Build Canada funding, and how that's affected.
I guess, when it goes into the funding, Blue Water's name, when they're not involved in the project, how do you send their name in to build a plant when they're not involved in it? Is that not gonna come out under the funding at that point?
So it depends on how we write the agreement, and whether they're written into the agreement that our municipalities go together to build funding. Is it not?
So when that funding becomes available, then, and they're not involved, how do you get funding in? If they're not involved, is what I'm saying.
And that's the point. If they're not involved, how do we get the funding? We just said it. Elizabeth?
But they're not involved.
This is a key issue because, and I think it's actually kind of dangerous to even talk about scope changes because we fully expect Blue Water to come back in the future. You have needs, you will have to address them. We have financial limitations right now, but we are expecting them to come back. So when we talk to Building Canada, we talk in terms of anticipating they will come back at some point in the future. So the full scope of ESR is going to be covered off still in that our Building Canada grants. We're not going in saying that they're not in. They are in the future. So I don't have a problem with you sitting at the table, but I do agree that it's not appropriate for you to be voting on the decisions that we make right now. So let's continue on. You can be here, you can be aware of what's happening, you need to know because it will affect you in the future, but it's not a scope change. It's not a fundamental change to the big picture. The big picture stays the same. It's just what step are we taking first? And that is important for us to keep our money for Building Canada.
Again, we're phasing the plan, right? We're doing the first phase and the potential to expand, which will allow Blue Water to come in. Would it be beneficial of the board to pass a resolution saying that voting rights are strictly related to our current flows in the system? Which that way, once Blue Water gets their flows in, then they come in under that clause saying they have voting rights. But until that point, they can come as observers